Hey, it's Amber from Biceps After Babies, and I'm going to teach you how to perform the bent over row. There are a lot of variations when it comes to the row, so I want to kind of walk through some of the ways that you can perform it. The first way is with a barbell. So with the barbell bent over row, you can either perform it with a supinated grip, which is going to be palms facing away from me, or a pronated grip, which is palms facing back. When we do a supinated grip, we're able to recruit more bicep and a little bit more lat. So whether you choose pronated or supinated really depends on which of the muscles you're really trying to target and hit. Again, supinated is going to be more bicep. A pronated, you're going to get more of the back muscles. And then the second variable is how wide you're placing your hands. We can place our hands a little bit more narrow. We can place our hands a little bit wider, which is going to recruit some of those upper back muscles a little bit more. So it's about playing around with it and figuring out what muscles you're trying to target and how you're going to be able to target them. Some things to keep in mind when we start talking about the bent over row. You're going to bend over, hence the name. And if you think about it, the further that you bend over, the longer that range of motion starts to be. So if I'm upright like this, my range of motion is shortened, whereas I come down to a real bent over row, I have a longer range of motion. So typically we like to see a pretty good upper body lean for the bent over row. However, always making sure that when we're doing that, we're putting ourselves in a really safe position by squeezing and tightening and tensing those abdominals, because when we come into this bent over position, the last thing you want is for that spine to hyperextend and to create that lower back instability. So making sure we're always keeping really tight with the core. So let's look at how this looks. I'm going to start with a pronated grip, so an overhand grip for the bent over row. I'm grabbing my bar a little bit outside of my shoulders. Again, I could play around with a little bit wider grip. I could play around with a little bit narrower grip, but we're going to go kind of somewhere in the middle. Next step is I'm going to lean over. Again, you can see the further that I lean, the longer that range of motion starts to become. But what I'm not doing is rounding my lower back. If you start noticing when you put weight on the bar, and you come down to that position and it causes you to round your lower back, we need to go down in weight. You want to keep that nice strong core, and if your core is not strong enough for that yet, then we just go down in weight and we work on strengthening that core until we can increase the weight. So coming down into this position, core is nice and tight. My eye gaze is in a neutral eye gaze looking forward. I'm not looking up. And I'm not tucking my chin in looking down, just a nice long neutral spine. And then thinking about bringing that barbell up, hitting just about under my chest, drawing those elbows up and back, and coming back down. Again, I'm pulling the elbows up and back. I'm not pulling out. It's not about taking your elbows out. It's about pulling back and taking my shoulder blades and squeezing them together. So again, from this bent over position, drawing the elbows up and back, and a squeeze at the top, and lowering that bar back down. That would be a pronated bent over row. Again, I can do a supinated bent over row to target a little bit more bicep. That looks like this, coming from that bent over position, pulling up, elbows tracking back, and I'm still squeezing the back muscles together as I draw that barbell up and back. So that is the bent over row with the barbell. We can also do the bent over row with dumbbells. The bent over row with dumbbells is very similar, just instead of having a barbell, we're just gonna have dumbbells. But it's the same thing, you're bending over. You can do a supinated grip, or you can do a supinated grip, you can do a pronated grip, but it's the same thing where we're drawing those elbows back and pulling those dumbbells towards the chest. That would be the pronated version, or we can do the supinated version. Notice my elbows are not flaring out. They are drawing straight back next to my side, and I'm feeling my shoulder blades squeeze together with every pull.